Hello everyone and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today we will discuss a Bohr model. Bohr modified the Rutherford model and proposed model in this way. Atom contains a centralized positively charged rigid body called a nucleus, and around nucleus electrons revolve in a stationary shell. This is a electron and this is a positively charged containing nucleus, means it contains protons. Rutherford said that electrons revolve in a circular path and release energy, and it will follow a spiral path and electron will enter in a nucleus. But Bohr modified it and he said that this shell is stationary. How this shell becomes stationary? Let's understand it. For example, this charge is Q1 and this is Q2. Both are separated by a distance r. So definitely there will be electrostatic force of attraction between positively charged charge and negatively charged electrons. That force is Fe, electrostatic force of attraction, and that is K Q1 Q2 by r square. K Q1 Q2 by r square. And if any body revolves in a circular path, then there is a outward force away from the nucleus, away from the center, that is a centripetal force Fc, and its magnitude is Fc equal to mv square by r. M is the mass of electron, v is the velocity of electron, r radius of orbit. Now we can clearly see one force is acting inwards and other force is acting outwards. So magnitude of both forces are equal. Electrostatic force of attraction is balanced by centripetal force, means K Q1 Q2 by r square equal to mv square by r. So one force is inward, second force is outward. So definitely if their magnitude is equal, then this shell is stationary. This is the main conclusion of a Bohr model, and it was the limitation of Rutherford and he corrected in this way. Now this shell is called a stationary shell or a fixed shell, and he gave the name to stationary shell or fixed shell orbit. Electrons revolves in orbit and they do not release any energy. Clear? This was the first conclusion, that electrons revolve in a stationary orbits or a fixed shell or simply orbits. And why this shell is stationary? Because it experiences two types of force. One is inward and other is outward. Both forces are equal in magnitude. Easy. Second, Bohr labeled these shells. For example, again this is a nucleus, this is a first shell, this is second, third shell and fourth shell. And he designed the name also. First shell is K shell, second is L shell, third is M shell, fourth is N shell. So now stationary shells or orbits are known as K shell, L shell, and so on. Clear? Next, third, he proposed a formula to calculate the number of electrons. Number of electrons in shells. Find out the number of electrons in a shell. How many electrons can be present in K, L, M and N shell. He proposed the formula: number of electrons are equal to 2n square, where n is the shell number. Let's put shell number. N equal to 1 means K shell. Electrons will be 2 into 1 square 2. So K shell contains 2 electrons. n equal to 2, 2 into 2 का square. L shell contains 8 electrons. N equal to 3, 2 into 3 square. 18 electrons are present in M shell. N equal to 4, 2 into 4 square. 16 into 2, 32 in N shell. This is again Bohr's conclusion. We can simply find out the number of electrons in any shell by simply putting the value of that shell in 2n square formula. Easy. Next is he concluded can revolve in that orbit whose angular momentum is integral multiple of nh 2 pi. L here is angular momentum and its value is mvr. Again m is the mass of electron, v is the velocity of electron, r is the radius of orbit. It is the integral multiple of nh by 2 pi, where n is any positive integer. Simply h, Planck constant. Electron can revolve in that orbit whose angular momentum is nh by 2 pi. Easy. Next is fifth and sixth orbit. He concluded a formula to find out the radius of any orbit. And first thing, you have to understand that Bohr model is applicable only for a monoelectronic species. Monoelectronic species containing one electron only. For example, hydrogen. For example, helium ion. For example, lithium dipositive ion. And last, beryllium tripositive ion. So this complete model is applicable for these 4 species, and if they contain more than one electron, then this model is not applicable. Clear? Now find a radius of orbit. He concluded radius of any orbit is 0.529 into n square by z, and values are in angstrom. As we know, 1 angstrom equal to 10 raised to power minus 10 meter. N here is number of shell or orbit. Z is atomic number. Z is atomic number, n is the number of shell. Rn represent radius of any orbit or radius of any shell. Let's solve for hydrogen. Nucleus, first shell, second shell, third and fourth. N equal to 1, 2, 3, 4. So radius here will be this distance R1 for second shell, R2 for third shell, R3, and for fourth shell R4. R1, R2, R3 and R4. We can use this simple formula and can find the values. Easy. Let's solve. R1 equal to 0.529 for hydrogen. Z is 1 square by 1.529 angstrom. Simple. R2 0.529. What we have to do? N square second shell, so 2 square 4 into 4 angstrom, R3 0.529 into 3 square 9 equal angstrom, and R4 equal to 0.529 into 16 angstrom. 1 angstrom equal to 10 raised to power minus 10 meter. Easy. So we can simply use a equation, use a formula to find the radius of any orbit. We can see in all these values this term is common, and this is the radius of R1. So if we have to find out radius of any orbit for hydrogen, Rn equal to, I can replace 0.529 by the value of R1. Rn equal to R1 into n square. In value will be in angstrom. Rn, radius of any orbit, is equal to radius of first orbit into n square. Clear? So simply we can solve for helium, beryllium and lithium. We know the atomic number of helium, beryllium and lithium. Helium 2, lithium 3, beryllium 4. Easy. Next is some tricks for numericals. We have the formula Rn equal to 0.529 into n square by z. This term is a number only, it is a constant, so we can simply say radius is directly proportional to n square and inversely proportional to z. Let's create some conditions. First, if atomic number is same, if atomic number is same, z is constant, radius is directly proportional to n square. For example, we have to find the radius of ratio of radius of third and fourth orbit of hydrogen. So what will be the, we use R1 by R2 equal to N1 square by N2 square. Simple. Let's solve a question also here. We have to find the ratio of radius of third and fourth orbit for helium ion. We have to find the ratio of radius of third and fourth orbit for a helium ion. So simply helium in atomic number is same for both cases, so simply we can use R3 by R4. R3 radius of third orbit, R4 radius of fourth orbit, directly proportional to n square. So third 3 square by 4 square, 9 by 16. Easy. You can do numericals more quickly and accurately by using simple tricks. This is applicable when atomic number is same, and if second conclusion, if shell is same, orbit is same, if shell is same, yani n same, and here will be constant, radius will dependent only on atomic number z. So conclusion will be radius is inversely proportional to atomic number. So for two conditions, R1 by R2 equal to Z2 by Z1. Clear? Let's do numerical for this also. Question is, find the ratio of radius for hydrogen and helium ion if electron is present in third shell. Now we can see shell is same, orbit is same, and we have to find the ratio of radius for hydrogen and helium. So what we will do, radius of hydrogen by radius of helium. We concluded that radius is inversely proportional to atomic number. So atomic number of hydrogen is 1, helium is 2. We don't need to find the values by using equations, just use short tricks. Clear? Applicable when shell is same. Third condition can be if shell is different and atomic number is different. If shell is different and atomic number is different, then radius directly proportional to n square by directly proportional to n square, inversely proportional to z. So for two conditions, r1 by r2 equal to n1 square by n2 square into z2 by z1. Easy. Let's do one numerical again for this trick. Find the ratio of radius for hydrogen and helium ion if electron is present in third and fourth shell respectively. Find the ratio of radius for hydrogen and helium ion if electron is present in third and fourth shell respectively. So radius of hydrogen by radius of helium ion directly proportional to n square. For hydrogen n is 3 square. For helium n is 4 square. Inversely proportional to atomic number. Atomic number of hydrogen is 1, helium is 2. 9 by 16 into 2, 18 by 16. Radius of hydrogen and radius of helium ion. That's it for radius of orbit. At home you can practice for helium ion, lithium dipositive ion and beryllium tripositive ion. Clear? Next conclusion of Bohr model is conclusion number 6 is energy of orbit. As we know, there are many shells: K shell, L shell, M shell and N shell. So electrons present in those shells, they have a definite values of energy. Clear? Now I am going to find energy of orbit. Again, this is centralized positive charge nucleus. Shells are K shell, L shell, M shell and N shell. We have to find out the energy of each shell. One thing more to understand: if electron is present in K shell, means it is revolving in K shell and it will stay here. It can jump to higher level when it observes certain amount of energy, and if it is going to back to lower energy shell, it will release energy. Means any electron can jump to higher level by observing certain amount of energy and can de-excite back to come to normal level by releasing certain amount of energy. If electron is present in first shell, then that shell is called ground state. If electron is not observing any energy and not releasing any energy, then it means it is present in stationary shell. That shell is called a ground state or a stationary energy orbit. Simple. But if this electron is going to a higher level energy, then this is called a excited state. First excited state from K to L, second excited state K2m, third excited state K2n. Easy. Let's find the energy first and then solve some numericals. Bohr gave a formula to find out the energy of orbit. En, energy of any shell, equal to minus 13.6 into z square by n square, and this energy value is in electron volt per atom. Z again represent atomic number and represent a shell number. So let's find the values for a hydrogen ion. E1 equal to minus 13.6, atomic number is 1, N1 minus 13.6 electron volt. This value is for hydrogen, for a K shell or for a first shell. E2 minus 13.6, Z is still 1, N2 का square 1 by 4 divided minus 3.4 electron volt. E3 minus 13.6 into 1 by 9, 3 का square 9, value will be minus 1.51 electron volt. And E4 minus 13.6 into 1 by 16.85 electron volt. So these are the values for first orbit, second, third and fourth. Values are minus 13.6 electron volt, second is minus 3.4 electron volt, third minus 1.51 electron volt, and fourth is 0.85 electron volt. You can see from the values, as distance is increasing, means we are moving to the higher orbitals, energy values are increasing. The ground state energy is very low and excited state energy are very high. And if we move to infinite level, the energy value will be 0 electron, means there will be no attraction force between electron and nucleus when at a infinite level. Clear? Let's understand again. If electron is present in first shell, K shell, and if it have to jump to second shell, then definitely it will require certain amount of energy. It will absorb energy in the form of a photon. What is this photon? Photon is a small packet of energy, simply you can say form of a light. So if we have to find the excited state energy value, what to do? Just find the delta E difference. Let's find. For example, electron is jumping from 1 to second, first shell to second shell, then delta E will be E2 minus E1. E2 represents a higher energy orbital and E1 represents a lower energy orbital. Let's solve it here. E2 is minus 3.4 minus first energy orbital minus 13.6, minus 3.4 plus 13.6, value will be 10.2 electron volt. So for hydrogen, if electron observe 10.2 electron volt energy, then it will excite from first shell to second shell. Let's solve one more case. If electron jump from first to third shell, from K to M shell, so delta E will be E3 minus E1. Value of third energy orbital is minus 1.51, first is minus 13.6. minus 1.51 plus 13.6. The value will be 12.09 electron volt. If it jump from 1 to 2, acquired energy is 10.2. If electron jump from 1 to 3, value is 12.09. So if electron jump from 1 to 4, value will be higher again. Clear? Let's draw a conclusion. We can clearly see for orbits, E1 is lower, E2 lower than E2, then E3 and E4, and energy at infinite level. Clear? And if electron is going to de-excite back, it will jump from higher to energy, it will release energy in the form of a photon, small packet of energy, small packet of light. Let's do one question for a de-excited case. How much energy is released by electron if it de-excite from third orbit to first orbit? How much energy is released by electron in the form of photon if it de-excite from third orbit to first orbit? So we have to find energy difference, delta E, jumping from third to first, E1 minus E3. Energy of first orbit is minus 13.6. For third orbit is minus 1.51 electron volt. Minus 13.6 plus 1.51, answer is minus 12.09 electron volt. So if electron de-excite, it release energy. Negative sign indicates that it is going to release energy, and if value is positive, then electron will jump from first to third. Easy? That is a Bohr model conclusion. Keep learning, stay at home. In next lecture we will understand the electromagnetic theory. Thank you.